Welcome to Get Started with CD as a Service. In this video, we are going to spin up a test cluster and connect it to CD as a service so that we can use it for deployments. Here I can see the process to deploy with CD as a service. Unfortunately, I don't have a Kubernetes cluster, but I'll click here and quickly create a test cluster using Linode. Linode offers $100 of free credits to its new users, which is sufficient to try and test out CD as a service. Remember to delete your cluster once you're done using it. Once I hit submit, I'm asked to confirm my email, so let's go ahead and confirm the email and continue with signing up on Linode. Now that I have completed my email verification, Linode is asking me for my phone number as part of their two-factor auth, so let me go ahead and enter that and move to next step. On the next step, Linode is asking for the credit card information and billing information. So let me go ahead and enter my credit card information and move to next step. Now that I have created my account, I can go to Cloud Manager. Right. So if I go back to CD as a service, it mentions that we need a cluster with 3 nodes of type Linode 2GB. Right. So once you have signed into Linode, on the left-hand side, you'll see that there's an option for Kubernetes. It doesn't have a cluster, so we'll hit Create Cluster. We'll give it a cluster label. Right. I want my cluster to be in the West Coast. And we'll give it a Kubernetes version. What we want is a shared CPU cluster with 2 GB and 3 nodes. So sounds about right. So I'll go ahead and hit Create Cluster and wait for Linode to create a new cluster for us. So provisioning your cluster typically takes 3 to 5 minutes. Once it's provisioned, you can download the kubeconfig by clicking this button. Once your kubeconfig is downloaded, we can go ahead and use this kubeconfig in our terminal to see if it's connecting and working properly or not. To use the downloaded kubeconfig, you can go ahead and set an environment variable named kubeconfig and point it to the exact path of the file that we downloaded. In my case, it lives right here. And now if I run kubectl get namespace, I'm able to see all the namespaces. Now let's go ahead and back to CD as a service to connect CD as a service to our Kubernetes cluster. So first off, it asks us for an agent identifier, which is a unique logical name that CD as a service will use to identify the agent on its own end. So let's go ahead and give it a name like test Linode cluster. And we go ahead and hit continue. Once I hit continue, I'm presented with 2 options to install the RNA. The first one is by running this bash script, and the second option is to use the client ID and secret and do a manual install from our docs. So I'll go ahead and copy this bash script and run it in my terminal. Alright. So once I run this script in my terminal, I see that it creates a namespace, it creates secrets within that namespace, and then it downloads the RNA itself. Let's go ahead and run this command and see if the pods are coming up or not. Right, so I see 2 pods coming up for remote network agent. If we head back to the screen, I see that those pods have just now connected and it says agent connected. Click to close. We have now connected our Linode Kubernetes cluster with CD as a service and are now ready to move on to the next phase to install the command line interface.